Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the knowledge hidden within listener-suggested topics and their source materials, bringing you the insights you need efficiently.
Mhm.
Today, we're embarking on a fascinating exploration of a white grape that might just surprise you, Macabeo.
Ah, yes, Macabeo.
Our listener has curated a collection of articles and even some insider perspectives from a leading sommelier.
That's great context to have.
And our mission is to uncover the hidden story of this often underestimated workhorse grape, its origins, the terroirs it calls home, the winemaking magic, and, well, the remarkable diversity of wines it yields.
It's intriguing right from the start, isn't it? How versatile Macabeo is.
Yeah.
Often labeled as, perhaps, underestimated, this variety forms the reliable foundation for many enjoyable everyday wines.
Right.
But what's truly captivating is its pivotal role in crafting prestigious sparkling wines like Cava.
Yeah, Cava, yeah, that's a big one.
It really shatters the typical white grape mold.
Okay, let's unpack this underestimated reputation then. Where does Macabeo actually originate? How did it sort of journey through the wine world?
Well, Macabeo's story begins right in the heart of northeastern Spain.
Okay.
So it's a truly Iberian variety with deep historical roots. What's fascinating as it adapted to different regions is that it acquired different names,
Ah,
almost like picking up local dialects, you could say. In Rioja and nearby areas, you'll predominantly hear it called Viura,
Viura, got it.
while across the border in southern France, it's known as Macabeu.
Macabee.
These aren't just different labels, they reflect its integration and evolution within these, distinct winemaking traditions.
So it's not just semantics.
No, not at all. This kind of naming variation isn't uncommon in the wine world, often signaling slight adaptations to local conditions and styles over time.
So it's a grape with a bit of a travel history then. Were any of the articles the listener sent in particularly critical of Macabeo, or did they highlight specific reasons why it might have this reputation?
Some sources do suggest that, historically, Macabeo has been seen perhaps as a more neutral blending grape, a supporting actor.
Okay, the workhorse idea.
Exactly. However, our listeners' sommelier insights really emphasize its potential for complexity,
Ah, interesting.
especially when it's grown in the right terroirs and handled with care in the winery. That potential really comes out.
Interesting. So this well-traveled grape has established significant roots then, despite maybe not always getting top billing.
Oh, absolutely. It boasts a substantial historical presence and widespread cultivation across both Spain and southern France.
Right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, one of his most critical contributions is as one of the three primary grapes in cava production.
Okay, Cava again.
Yeah. This firmly positions it right at the core of Spain's sparkling wine identity. It's fundamental.
Cava, got it. So beyond the bubbles, where are these resilient vines truly putting down roots and thriving geographically? Where does it like to grow?
The primary growing regions are actually quite diverse,
Mm.
which really showcases Macabeo's adaptability. You'll find it prominently in Penedès, the heartland of Cava, of course,
Naturally.
and in Rioja, whereas Viura, it reigns as the dominant white grape.
Right, the main white there.
Crossing into France, Languedoc-Roussillon in the south is another significant area,
Okay.
but its reach extends further into Spain, too. Think Aragon in areas like Carignan and Campo de Borja,
Right.
also Navarra, Valencia, and even Rueda, although it plays maybe a less central role there compared to varieties like Verdejo.
Okay, quite widespread then. And what kind of environment does it favor in these diverse places? What's the climate like?
Well, the Mediterranean climate exerts a strong influence across most of these regions.
Makes sense.
So think abundant sunshine and warmth, which are crucial for the grapes to develop their sugars.
Sure, ripeness.
Exactly. Wind, too, like the Mistral in France, offers a valuable service. It helps keep the vines dry, reducing disease risk.
Oh, interesting. Natural pest control.
Sort of, yeah. But what's fascinating here is the vital role of temperature variations, that diurnal range.
The difference between day and night temps.
Precisely. The difference between daytime highs and nighttime lows. This acts like a natural brake on the ripening process.
How so?
It allows the grapes to develop sugars during the day, but the cool nights help retain crucial acidity,
Ah,
the backbone.
exactly. That backbone keeps the wine lively and prevents it from tasting, flabby or flat.
So sunshine for sweetness, cool nights for that refreshing zip. Makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Now, what about the ground beneath the vines? Does soil type play a big role?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Different soil types act almost like a fingerprint, imparting distinct characteristics.
Really?
Oh, yeah. In regions like Penedès and Rioja, you often encounter calcareous and clay limestone soils.
Okay.
These offer good drainage, but also retain sufficient water, which can stress the vine in just the right way.
Stress can be good.
Sometimes, yes, it can lead to a concentration of minerality, often described as flinty or chalky.
Flinty, okay. It's a very distinct characteristic. Sandy soils, on the other hand, provide excellent drainage and tend to yield lighter, more aromatic wines.
Lighter, okay.
Then you have rocky and schistous soils, particularly in parts of Catalonia. These are often low in organic matter but retain heat effectively,
Heat retention.
which can result in mineral-driven wines with really deep root systems as the vines search for nutrients.
So the soil isn't just dirt, it's actively shaping the wine's identity.
Right.
And the listener's notes mentioned a specific article about soil pH in Penedès. Did that reveal anything surprising about Macabeo?
Yeah, that was interesting. The article highlighted how slightly higher pH soils in certain subzones seem to correlate with riper fruit notes in the Macabeo,
Or fruit, okay.
while lower pH soils emphasize that vibrant acidity we were just talking about.
Ah, so it's quite sensitive.
It's a subtle but significant nuance that winemakers there are increasingly paying attention to. It fine-tunes the style.
Fascinating detail. And zooming in even further, are there smaller scale environmental factors at play? Microclimates.
Absolutely. Microclimates are incredibly significant. Altitude, for example, is key.
Higher up means cooler.
Exactly.
Right.
Especially for preserving that vital acidity needed in cava production.
Right, for the sparkle.
And also for crafting elegant still wines in potentially warmer areas. The cooler temperatures at higher elevations act like a natural refrigerator, slowing down ripening, helping the grapes retain freshness.
Okay, we've established where it thrives. That gives us a clue about the grape itself. So what are the key physical characteristics of the Macabeo vine? What are winemakers actually working with?
Well, the Macabeo vine typically produces medium to large-sized bunches of grapes.
Okay.
They usually have a conical or maybe pyramidal shape. And these clusters tend to be moderately to sometimes very compact.
Compact clusters. Does that cause issues?
It can. This compactness is important for vineyard management because it can potentially increase the risk of fungal diseases if there isn't good airflow through the canopy.
Right. Trapped moisture.
Precisely. So ensuring the vines can breathe, as you said, is crucial.
Okay. And its growing cycle. Early. Late.
It buds and reaches maturity in the mid to later part of the growing season.
Mid to late.
Yeah. This later ripening period is generally beneficial. It allows the grapes to develop a good range of aromas and maintain their acidity.
Sounds good.
However, it can be a bit of a gamble in cooler climates where there's a risk of the grapes not fully ripening before, autumn weather sets in.
Right, beating the clock. It sounds like vineyard managers have a delicate balancing act then. What are some key techniques they use to optimize quality?
A whole range of techniques are crucial. Pruning is fundamental, of course, and you'll see different approaches. Short pruning like spurred cordon, long pruning like GO, and mixed systems. Each influences the vine's vigor and the potential yield.
Different pruning for different results.
Exactly. Then there are trellising systems. Traditionally, you might find a bush vine or gobelet system.
Gobelet, right, you mentioned that.
Where the vine grows more naturally, less support. Modern vineyards often use espalier systems like spurred cordon and GO trained along wires. Which is better? Well, the modern systems offer advantages for mechanization, like harvesting and managing the leaf canopy. The listener's notes mention an article comparing these in Penedès.
Yes, it highlighted that while traditional gobelet can be excellent quality-wise, the modern espalier systems allow for better airflow and sunlight exposure.
Exactly.
Which, it said, is particularly helpful for Macabeo's compact clusters, helping prevent disease.
Precisely. That canopy management, things like strategically removing leaves, helps get the ideal amount of sunlight and airflow to the bunches. Essential for healthy ripening, preventing rot.
Makes sense. What else?
Yield control is also critical. You don't want the vine producing too much fruit, diluting the quality.
So less is more sometimes.
Often, yes. Methods like careful pruning, selecting the right number of buds, and even green harvesting.
Green harvesting, removing grapes.
Yeah, removing some bunches early in the season. It ensures the remaining grapes develop more concentrated flavors and aromas.
Ah, concentrating the energy.
You got it. Specific techniques also include things like clonal selection.
Choosing specific vine families.
Exactly. Winemakers choose specific variations or clones of Macabeo that show desirable traits, maybe better disease resistance or specific aroma profiles.
Tailoring the vine itself.
And finally, precise harvest timing is paramount. It depends entirely on the desired wine style.
Right. Earlier for acidity, later for.
Later for perhaps more phenolic ripeness. That's the development of tannins and other compounds in the skins and seeds. Important for structure, color, aging potential, especially for complex wines or sparkling base wines.
It really is a constant process of fine-tuning then.
Absolutely. Winemakers must continuously balance the vine's vigor, manage humidity to prevent diseases, ensure optimal sunlight, all while considering the specific trellising system being used. It's complex.
Okay, the grapes are harvested at that perfect moment.
Right.
Now, how does the transformation from grape to wine typically unfold for Macabeo? What happens in the winery?
Right, the winemaking journey. It begins with receiving the grapes and usually de-stemming them.
Getting rid of the stems.
Yes, a crucial step to avoid any bitter or herbaceous flavors getting into the wine.
Okay.
This is followed by crushing and pressing. And for high-quality whites, gentle pressing is key to get the finest must.
The juice, basically.
The juice before fermentation, yes.
Yeah.
Some winemakers might opt for a period of skin contact or maceration.
Letting the juice sit with the skins.
Exactly, but at cool temperatures. This can enhance the aromatic complexity by extracting more flavor compounds from the skins.
Interesting. Then fermentation.
In fermentation, typically this happens in stainless steel tanks.
Why stainless steel?
It helps preserve the fresh, delicate aromas of the grape. It's neutral. The temperature during fermentation is carefully controlled too. Generally between, say, 15 and 18 degrees Celsius to promote those bright, fresh aromas. Maybe slightly warmer if the goal is more intricate flavors.
Okay.
But interestingly, some producers do choose to ferment in oak barrels.
Oak for a white grape like Macabeo.
Yes. It can impart notes of vanilla, toast, and give a richer, more rounded texture to the wine.
So even a grape often used for fresh whites can see oak. Did the sommelier's notes mention producers who specifically avoid oak, and why?
Yes, actually. The sommelier highlighted a few producers, particularly in Pinay, who intentionally ferment and age their Macabeo only in stainless steel.
To keep it pure.
Exactly. To emphasize the purity of the fruit and the expression of the terroir, believing that oak can sometimes mask those more subtle nuances they're aiming for.
Interesting contrast. So these winemaking choices clearly have a profound impact on the final wine.
Oh, absolutely. Temperature control during fermentation is vital for preserving aromas. Skin contact can add layers of complexity. Lees aging.
Lees aging. What's that?
That's where the wine remains in contact with the spent yeast cells, the lees that settle after fermentation.
What's that do?
It can contribute a richer texture, more body, and sometimes savory notes to the wine. As the yeast cells break down, they release compounds.
That's complexity.
It does. And of course, for Cava, the traditional method that second fermentation inside the bottle is what creates its signature bubbles and adds those characteristic yeasty, bready aromas.
So many levers to pull. And who's the guiding force behind all these critical decisions in the cellar?
That would be the enterologist, or winemaker. They are the crucial figure.
The expert.
They're the ones meticulously guiding each step to achieve the desired style and quality level. Their deep understanding of the terroir, the grape's potential. That's what enables them to craft truly exceptional wines.
So with this whole array of winemaking possibilities, what are the distinct wine styles that Macabeo is actually capable of producing?
The range is remarkably diverse, actually. You can find young and vibrant white wines, think aromatic purity, refreshing acidity.
The simple, fresh style.
Yes. Then there are white wines, particularly from Rioja, where it's Viura, that have the structure to age gracefully.
Age-worthy whites.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They develop intriguing oxidative notes, nutty aromas over time. Really complex.
Okay.
Naturally, there's sparkling cava, celebrated for its lively acidity and those delicate fruit and yeast notes, like brioche.
The bubbles, of course.
You'll also encounter barrel-fermented white wines that showcase a really harmonious integration of oak flavors, vanilla, spice, and a creamy texture.
Richer style.
And even in the Roussillon region of France, Macabeo contributes to fortified wines.
Fortified, like port.
Sort of, yeah. Different style, but fortified. These boast intense aromas of fruit, honey, and spice.
Wow.
So while many people think of white grapes as maybe just fresh and fruity or oaky and rich, Macabeo really shatters that mold.
It really does.
It shows this whole spectrum from lean sparklers to these complex, age-worthy whites with almost savory notes. It's a testament to its hidden potential.
That's a much broader spectrum than I initially imagined. Okay, so if I were to pour myself a glass of a Macabeo-based wine, what kind of sensory experience should I anticipate? What does it smell and taste like?
Right, let's delve into the sensory profiles. On the nose, in younger wines, you'll often find aromas of fresh white and citrus fruits.
Like a
Green apple, pear, lemon, maybe grapefruit. You might also detect delicate white floral notes, think acacia or jasmine.
nice.
In warmer growing regions, there's potential for hints of stone fruit, like peach or apricot.
Okay.
But as those white Riojas age, they can develop really fascinating tertiary aromas.
Tertiary, meaning from age.
Exactly, from bottle age.
Mm.
Think notes like nuts, honey, beeswax, spices, and even a subtle hint of kerosene.
Kerosene. Really?
Yes, it sounds unusual,
Mm.
but it's a characteristic that some aged white Riojas develop. Many enthusiasts actually appreciate it as a sign of complexity.
Huh. Okay. And on the palate, what does it taste like?
The flavors tend to echo the aromas.
Yeah.
You get that refreshing acidity, though the intensity can vary depending on the style and terroir.
Acidity is key then.
Very much so. You might also perceive a subtle minerality, sometimes described as wet stones.
Minerality. Okay. And structure.
Body.
In terms of structure, the acidity provides the main framework. Lees aging and wood contact can enhance that structure, add weight.
Right.
The body can range from light to medium in young, unoaked wines, becoming fuller, more rounded with age and the influence of oak.
And texture.
It can start fresh and crisp in youth, but evolve into something more velvety, more mouth-coating as the wine matures.
So it truly undergoes quite a transformation from youth to maturity. And how much of these nuances are dictated by where it's grown versus how it's made? Terroir versus winemaking.
Oh, that's the magic, isn't it? It's a beautiful and intricate interplay between the two.
A dance.
Exactly. The terroir, the environment where the grapes grow, lays the foundational blueprint. It influences the inherent characteristics of the fruit.
The raw material.
Precisely. Then the winemaker's skilled decisions in the cellar shape, direct, and ultimately amplify those characteristics into the final expression you find in the glass. Okay, let's try and break down those different styles we discussed earlier in terms of their specific sensory characteristics. What should I be looking for, say, in a young white compared to an aged one? Or a barrel fermented versus a cava?
Good idea. For young, fresh, white Macabeo wines, focus on that vibrant aromatic purity. Bright white fruits, citrus, maybe delicate florals.
Clean and crisp.
Exactly. On the palate, expect that clean, refreshing sensation driven by lively acidity. Now, with aged white wines, especially those Rioja examples,
The complex ones.
right, be prepared for a more complex, nuanced aromatic profile. Those developed notes, nuts, honey, beeswax, maybe spice, maybe that hint of kerosene.
Okay.
The acidity will likely feel more integrated, mellowed. You might notice a fuller body, perhaps more savory character.
And barrel fermented?
Barrel-fermented Macabeo will often show a harmonious marriage of fruit notes with the vanilla, toast, or spice from the oak.
Integrated oak.
Yes, the texture will likely be smoother, maybe even a creamy richness.
Okay. And cava?
With cava, look for that refreshing acidity again and the delicate interplay of fruit notes with those characteristic yeast-derived aromas, brioche, toast, baked bread,
The bubbles, too.
and the fine persistent bubbles, of course. A key textural element contributing to that overall refreshing experience.
This is providing a fantastic roadmap for tasting. Any specific tips for actually doing the tasting? How to best appreciate these diverse Macabeo wines?
Absolutely. Serving temperature is crucial.
Right. Colder is better.
Not always. Young, fresh whites are best well chilled, maybe 8-10 Celsius.
Okay.
But wines with more age, or those that have seen oak, can reveal more complexity when served slightly warmer, perhaps 10-12 Celsius.
Let them open up a bit.
Exactly. Cava should also be well chilled, maybe 6-8 C. And those richer fortified wines, slightly cooler than room temp, say 10-12 C.
Good guidelines. What about glasses?
Glassware makes a difference too. A standard white wine glass, maybe like one for Chardonnay or Riesling, works well for still Macabeo. For Cava, a tall, slender flute or a tulip-shaped glass helps preserve the bubbles and concentrate the aromas.
Makes sense.
And interestingly, for those complex aged white Riojas, some enthusiasts even suggest a brief decanting.
Decanting a white.
Yes, just to let those developed aromas fully open up.
Wow. And food pairings.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Young, crisp Macabeo is wonderful with seafoods, light salads.
Classic pairing.
The richer oaked versions can stand up to more substantial dishes, roast poultry, creamy pasta.
Okay.
Cava is incredibly versatile, great with tapas, lighter meals, even fried foods.
Cava and tapas, perfect.
And those fortified Macabeo wines can be delightful with rich desserts or maybe some pungent blue cheese.
Interesting end to a meal.
Finally, I'd say don't hesitate to explore different vintages of the same wine if you can. See how it evolves, how it expresses different growing seasons.
That's incredibly helpful advice, almost like having a personal sommelier guiding me. Now, we've touched on specific regions like Rioja and Penedès. How do the official denominations of origin, the DOs, shape the landscape for Macabeo?
The DOs play a fundamental role, really. They define and regulate production. Rioja DOCA is a prime example.
The highest classification in Spain, right?
Yes. Here, Viura is the dominant white, and the DO has specific regulations, including minimum aging requirements for different styles, Joven, Crianza, Reserva, Grand Reserva,
Often involving oak.
often involving aging in oak barrels, yes. Then you have Cava DO. As we've discussed, it relies heavily on Macabeo in its traditional blend with Xarel·lo and Parellada.
The holy trinity of cava.
Pretty much. The Cava DO also has stringent rules. Production methods, like the traditional method second fermentation in bottle, and minimum aging times on the lees for its categories Cava, Reserva, Grand Reserva, and the top tier, Paraje Talificado.
Lots of rules for quality.
Definitely. Penedès DO is noteworthy too, as it's key not just for Cava, but also for high-quality still white wines, using Macabeo and other varieties.
So both sparkling and still there.
Exactly. And beyond these big players, you find Macabeo in numerous other DOs across Spain: Catalunya, Reda, Cariñena, Campo de Borja, Navarra, Valencia.
Wow, it really gets around.
It truly highlights its adaptability across diverse terroirs and winemaking philosophies.
So the DO acts as a guarantee of certain standards and often dictates a particular style. Are there any specific producers or iconic labels that really stand out as benchmarks for Macabeo-based wines, the ones to look out for?
Oh, absolutely. In Rioja, Marqués de Murrieta's Castillo Yigué Gran Reserva Blanco is an icon.
Heard of that one. Very prestigious.
It really is. Remarkably age-worthy, exemplifies the heights Viura can reach. Lopez de Heredia Viña Blanco Reserva is another legend.
Also very traditional, right?
Renowned for their traditional style and the incredible longevity of their wines. And Rimiluri Blanco from Rioja Alavesa is a fantastic example of a more terroir-driven Viura.
Expressing the place.
Exactly. In Penedès, Torres is a major, highly respected producer with a diverse range.
Big name.
And Miguel Torres in particular is recognized for commitment to quality and sustainability in their Macabeo wines, both still and sparkling.
Sustainability is important there.
Increasingly so. These are just a few examples, of course, but they underscore the dedication to crafting exceptional Macabeo wines across different regions.
And what does the broader commercial landscape look like? How is Macabeo doing in the market today?
Well, Cava holds a really significant position in the global sparkling wine market. Different tiers, different styles, catering to a wide range of consumers.
It's very popular.
It is. White Rioja wines have also earned a solid reputation as a respected age-worthy category of white wine.
Gaining more recognition.
I think so, yes. Beyond those, the diverse still whites from other regions in Spain and France offer their own unique appeal. Current trends show, continued love for sparkling wines,
Definitely.
a growing appreciation for high-quality white wines in general, and an increasing interest in exploring local indigenous grape varieties.
Like Macabeo.
Exactly. Consumers are seeking out wines with distinctive character, a sense of place. Macabeo fits that bill.
So, looking towards the future then, what are some of the key challenges facing Macabeo production? And what are the potential paths forward for this versatile grape?
There are certainly challenges to navigate. Climate change is a big one.
How does that affect it?
Potential impacts on acidity levels, which are crucial for Macabeo, and the overall ripening process, maybe getting too ripe too fast.
Tricky balance.
Very. Macabeo also faces ongoing market competition from other popular white grapes that might just be more familiar to consumers.
Like Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay.
Exactly. And sometimes there's a need for clearer, more effective communication to consumers about Macabeo's qualities, its diversity, to overcome any lingering perceptions of it being just, a simple blending grape.
Changing perceptions.
Right. On a positive note, sustainability and environmental stewardship are becoming increasingly important.
You mentioned Torres.
Yes, and that's an area where thoughtful, responsible viticulture of Macabeo can really shine. There's also continuous research and development happening.
In what areas?
Things like clonal selection, identifying Macabeo clones more resilient to climate change, optimizing winemaking techniques to enhance quality, explore new styles, developing strategies for water management, preserving acidity in warmer climates.
Lots of innovation.
Definitely. The future for Macabeo, I think, holds considerable promise. Its inherent versatility is a huge asset.
Adapts well.
It does. The continued success and global reach of Cava act as a powerful ambassador for the grape.
Raises its profile.
Exactly. The quality and aging potential of white Rioja show its capacity for serious still wines, and that growing consumer interest in unique local varieties positions Macabeo well.
Needs the right messaging, though.
Yes, particularly with strategic communication and a continued emphasis on quality and innovation.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of Macabeo. Wow. To quickly recap, we've explored its Iberian roots, its remarkable ability to produce both vibrant still wines and elegant sparkling wine,
Quite the range.
the profound influence of both the land, the terroir, and the winemaking artistry on its character, and its significant presence in key Spanish denominations of origin like Rioja and Cava.
Covered a lot of ground.
It's truly a grape of surprising depth and complexity that probably deserves far more recognition than it often gets.
I'd agree with that.
I am definitely inspired to seek out a few Macabeo-based wines now, perhaps starting, as you suggested, with a well-made Cava and maybe a traditional white Rioja, just to experience that versatility firsthand.
Excellent plan. And, considering its remarkable adaptability and that ongoing spirit of innovation among winemakers,
Yeah.
it really sparks the imagination, doesn't it? Makes you wonder what other exciting, perhaps unexpected wine styles we might see emerge from Macabeo in the years ahead, as its full potential continues to be explored and unlocked.